Yeah, we back. We back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to the ones I dropped a few days ago entitled, "The Western Media Attacks Ibrahim Traore." And a major terrorist was eliminated by the forces of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Now, if you watched that first video regarding the Western media, then you know that many Western media publications launched accusations against Ibrahim Traore, saying that he is committing crimes against humanity and somebody must be held accountable. And then just a few days after those accusations were made in the media, a major terrorist, a major Islamic State commander by the name of Abu Huzaifa, who had a $5 million bounty on his head, was captured and murdered by the armies of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So unfortunately for the Western media and the Western governments, that propaganda campaign quickly backfired on them, because while they were trying to promote a false narrative saying that Ibrahim Traore and the armies of Mali and Niger were incompetent, were committing crimes against humanity, were massacring civilians, they ended up catching a major victory and capturing a major Islamic State terrorist that even the armies of the United States and France couldn't even capture after the many years of them being stationed in the region. Both the militaries of the United States and France were in the region for years, so-called fighting terrorism. But as soon as they get kicked out, now major Islamic State commanders with $5 million bounties on their head start getting clapped. Ha, man, who's really incompetent? Let's look in the mirror. Who's really incompetent for real? Who's really unqualified? Who's really inadequate? Who's really inefficient? Who's really incapable? Who's really unfit to fight terrorism? You already know what it is. You know they mad right now. Oh yeah, they mad. Yeah, they mad. Oh yeah, we already know what time it is. But anyways, man, let's get into the subject of today's video. Take a look up on the screen. Burkina Faso, the military in Burkina Faso summons the United States and the UK diplomats. And the reason for this was due to the propaganda and the media campaign that was launched in the American media and the British media. So they decided to summon the ambassadors, come to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Sit down and let's have a seat. I heard you talking all that shit. Sit down, let's have a seat, big man. Talking all that stupid shit on the media. Let's jump into the article. Take a look up on the screen. The military in power in Burkina Faso summoned the United States Charge d'Affaires in Ouagadougou, Eric Whitaker, and the UK High Commissioner to the country, Harriet Thompson, to discuss international accusations of crimes against humanity leveled against the military. According to the Burkina news agency AIB, Whitaker was summoned yesterday evening by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, while another verbal note was sent to the United Kingdom High Commission in Burkina Faso with residence in Accra, Ghana. The cause follows the publication of a report by the NGO Human Rights Watch, which had great international resonance and raised harsh criticism from the military in power. In both invitations to the diplomats, the military is surprised that the United States and the United Kingdom, usually accustomed to scientific rigor, react on the basis of a report with hasty conclusions. In the report published on April 24th, Human Rights Watch asked the Burkina Faso authorities to conduct a comprehensive investigation into 2 massacres committed in the villages of Nodin and Soro last February in relation to what they accused the Burkina Armed Forces of having executed 223 civilians, including 56 children. The report was widely covered by the international media, provoking a reaction from the military, who censored and suspended the broadcast of numerous broadcasters. After the United States broadcaster Voice of America and the service in Africa of the British Broadcasting Company was suspended for 2 weeks by the Superior Council for Communications of Burkina Faso, the military in power suspended the broadcast of French broadcaster TV5 Monde and other Western sites and media for having published articles on a report drawn up by the NGO. Now, take a look up on the screen. As you can see, I believe it was yesterday, May 3rd, there was a travel advisory put out by the U.S. Embassy in Burkina Faso saying that there's going to be a large demonstration outside of the U.S. Embassy. So if you are a U.S. citizen, please stay inside. Please be safe. We can't guarantee your safety. It might get hectic out there. They put out a travel advisory in regards to Burkina Faso at the embassy site. Now, let's jump into some of the articles. Hundreds of people protested outside the U.S. Embassy in Burkina Faso's capital on Friday against Washington's reaction to Human Rights Watch accusations of an army massacre of civilians. On Monday, Great Britain and the United States said they were gravely concerned a few days after Human Rights Watch published a report accusing soldiers of killing at least 223 people, including 56 children, in revenge attacks on 2 villages on February 25th. We have come to deliver a message to the Americans to put an end to these accusations against our armed forces who are defending the country at the cost of their lives. Mahamadou Ouedraogo, a spokesman for the Federation of Pan-Africanists, which organized the demonstration. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. Take a look up on the screen. This brother said, to be honest, these people are in the wrong position to tell us anything, especially accusing us of human rights abuses. The ones who destroyed Iraq, destroyed Syria, destroyed Libya, bombed the hell out of other nations throughout the world, leaving millions of people dead, are now concerned that we have allegedly killed 223 civilians. As we speak, Israel is committing genocide in Palestine. Did the same troublemakers lift their fingers? No, they are still supporting Israel through thick and thin. The same West is sponsoring a genocide in the Democratic Republic of the Congo because of the minerals, and they want to give us lessons? Come on, we have no lessons of morality to take from anyone, not from people who wiped out entire nations just to steal their land and loot what they have put their hands on. He went on to say, folks, the West is very manipulative and very deceitful. When we kill hundreds of terrorists, they will start writing articles that we killed civilians. But when their backed and sponsored terrorists kill innocent civilians, including our soldiers, they will say that our armies are weak. Now, that is an excellent observation, because that is the predicament that these militaries find themselves in, right? Because if they get overrun by the terrorists and the terrorists massacre many civilians, then the Western media will go on their platforms and say, look how incompetent these leaders are. Look how unqualified they are to fight terrorism. This is why they need our help. But when they catch victories and they start smoking shit, now they say you're committing crimes against humanity. We need to hold you accountable. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's a joke, man. It's really a joke. It's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, if you catch victories on the battlefield without the help of the West, you are committing crimes against humanity. But if you are unable to catch any victories, then you are unqualified, you are incompetent, you are a weak military, and you can't do anything without the West. So, you know, it's really, you know, pick your poison. Pick your poison. You're either going to be labeled a weak leader who cannot lead an army, or you're going to be labeled a dictator committing crimes against humanity. That's pretty much the box they have locked us into. And it's genius on their part, because either way it goes, it plays to their benefit. If you are a dictator committing crimes against humanity, we must mobilize the troops and invade the country. But if you are a weak leader who cannot lead an army and cannot fight terrorism, then we need to mobilize the troops and invade the country and help you out. Those are the only two options. We either paint you as a dictator, therefore we must mobilize the troops and invade the country, or we paint you as a weak leader who has a weak army, and therefore we need to mobilize the troops and provide military assistance. It's the same outcome in both scenarios: Western armies invading your country. It's really genius on their part, I gotta admit. Now let's continue. This person said, Human Rights Watch is an imperialist tool at the beck and call of its masters. They are trying to create a false narrative which they will use to invade Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We know the script. This person said, he should be expelled immediately. No need to waste time with those who never brought anything positive to Africa over all these years. The reality is that they need Africa more than Africa needs them. And I'm glad that people are now waking up to this reality. It is a complete waste of time to try to accommodate any relationship with these Western countries. Just a pure waste of time. This person said, you cannot handle terrorists operating in the Sahel with the care of human rights. They will humiliate you badly. It is ruthlessness, firmness, and decisiveness against the enemy that will make them think twice before staging an attack or even grouping. I agree. You cannot play with these, these jihadists talking about we need the whole planet under Sharia law. We can't negotiate. We can't have no conversation. Just listen, 50 caliber rounds straight to the cerebellum, straight to the prefrontal cortex. This person said, Burkina Faso must not use the same failed strategies of dealing with the Sahelian terrorists. You cannot be fighting terror and constantly looking over your shoulder or behind your back in fear of the United States lapdog, Human Rights Watch, and the United Nations. Chase them away and sort your problem the best way you know how. This person said, these countries are currently sponsoring an ongoing genocide in Gaza while trying to lecture and bully African countries who are fighting terrorists they brought to destabilize and plunder the Sahel. Absolute crap. This person said, Africans have no business explaining anything to Americans or Europeans. All wars on the planet, all lab diseases and sanctions that have led countries to face famine are the doing of Europeans. What can they tell us about human rights abuses? Ignore these whites. That's a fact. That's a fact. Amen. We could cap it off just like that. Anyways, man, it's boy Neferkari, that's Salim back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Cash App up on the screen. And I'm gone. Peace.